I guess we can start, get started now. Some of you may know me. I'm Ciara O'Connor. I work for Vertali. I'm just babysitting this session. As you know, I'm not your normal chair. This session is, are you using Data Studio, Data Server Manager, and Data Management Console? And are you wondering the strategic direction for developers and admins for DB2 for ZOS? And I will pass you now over to Samaya. I should have checked how you pronounce this. Kamaswaran.
That's right.
And I forgot to ask the other girl her name, the lady her name. She'll have to introduce herself.
Yes, that's okay. My name is Jane Chan. I'm from the product management function, and Somya is the technical lead for our DB2 modernization space. So we work together here. So as mentioned already, the topic is, are you using Data Studio, Data Server Manager, or Data Management Console? I'm wondering what the strategic direction is for developers and administrators for DB2 for ZOS. Essentially, we're really just talking about the strategic direction of the DB2 for ZOS tooling in support of our developers and administrators. So our agenda will cover the DB2 Administration Foundation for ZOS overview, and Somya will help do demos for 3 areas of this product, and they are catalog navigation, SQL tuning, DB2 Analytics Accelerator support, and we will also cover DB2 developer extension, as well as Somya will help perform the demo for this product. And then we'll have a summary and Q&A. Just a brief word on disclaimers. The content of this presentation has statements regarding IBM's future direction and intent are subject to change or withdrawal without notice. And these are for our goals and objectives only, and not for any specific commitments to deliver. Offerings and direction. So as I said, we are both involved in the modernization space. And so the offerings are our modernization offerings, which are 3 listed in here. All 3 of these are based on a same platform and same architecture, which mainly is the architecture of microservices. And we have refactored the code from the Data Studio and DSM capabilities into microservices to enable a more flexibility to reuse this technology in various solutions to better support our users and use cases. And in terms of the offerings, we have 3 listed, although today we really are just going to be talking about the first 2. The first one is application development, which is represented by the product IBM DB2 for ZOS Developer Extension, which is built on VS Code, and it is a free download from the Microsoft Marketplace. The second product is providing the database administration support by the product IBM DB2 Administration Foundation for ZOS, which by the name, it provides foundational administrative functions. And in addition, it's also an integration point for us to add on additional capabilities to provide support from other licensed, paid licensed products. And the third area we're not going to be talking about today is CI/CD integration, and the product is IBM DB2 Develop DevOps Experience for z/OS, and it integrates deployment and code quality into CI/CD pipeline via microservices. Okay, the first product is actually we're going to cover is the DB2 Administration Foundation for z/OS. We sometimes call it Admin Foundation or Foundation. So you'll hear me probably use those terms interchangeably. So this product, it was made available back in 2021, about 18 months ago. And it really is a product that provides the transformation of administrative tasks and giving users a modernized experience through a unified graphical UI, which really consolidating the Data Studio and DSM capabilities. It's a no-charge license with an optional support available for a fee. This solution runs entirely on z/OS with zero client installation, giving more control to the z/OS and mainframe team, which we would hear customers, relating to us that they're concerned sometimes they don't have full control of the solution if it runs on the distributed side. So the aim of this product is also to make sure we provide an easy solution, intuitive solution for especially for new users who don't have a lot of experience and who are trying to ramp up their Z and mainframe skills. And so this is one of the target use case as well. It also is aimed to help experienced staff to simplify their day-to-day tasks. Since the GA 18 months ago, we have iteratively been delivering additional enhancements for the solution, and we will see that coming up in the roadmap slide later. This we are covering showing you some key features where of the Admin Foundation product, where it really focuses on 4 different pillars: the discovering, the exploring, the administering, and developing and tuning. The discovering side, the Admin Foundation is built on UMS. UMS makes available the discovery of all of the DB2s within the entire Sysplex, and so it's easy to discover and search. As well, there's access to the entire DB2 catalog for every subsystem available. In terms of explore, the Admin Foundation is a browser-based user interface built on the open source Zoe virtual desktop. So it's very easy to navigate. It also makes searching across multiple Sysplex very easy with flexible filtering options and customizable results. The administering pillar, we have a user-friendly dashboard style object details view where users can have a modern experience with that. And it also has this integration with the IDA, or the full name is DB2 Analytics Accelerator Administration. Some of you may have this product, and if you have licensed this product, then you can use the administration services integrated with the DB2 Admin Foundation. The other function is the execution of DB2 commands, and that makes it all in one place and very easy access if between different tasks of the user. And then the last but not least is the develop and tuning. We have integrated single SQL tuning, which some of you might be familiar with from your Data Studio or DSM experience, where it example like Stats Advise or Visual Explain. Those are very popular capabilities that we've carried forward to Admin Foundation. As well, you can execute SQL, and it also captures statements from statement cache, and you can compare from the different sources. So I will let Soumya later demo to you, all these functionalities, and it'll be better seeing a picture better than 1,000 words, right? So here, this product is on the IBM Z-Trial site. So that means you can access the trial without going through any installation on-premise, and is of no charge. It's a very quick provisioning process, where after request within 2 hours or so, you will get back access to the Z-Trial, and you'll have 3 days to play with it and go through the scenarios that we've created in the Z-Trial. And as we get more enhancements, we would refresh Z-Trial so that you'll get up-to-date experience through the Z-Trial. And we hope that after you give it a try, let us know what you think, and any suggestions would be very welcomed, and so we can incorporate those in our future prioritized work as we develop this product further. Here is a view of the roadmap, and the Admin Foundation 1.1 was the GA release back in 2021. And here's a list of functions that you can see. And also post GA, we have delivered in the second green column additional enhancements, including the single query tuning, which is no charge. Then later on, we would have a paid SQL tuning integrated with the Admin Foundation. And so if you have a product like Query Workload Tuner, then those more advanced tuning functionality would be integrated with in the future with DB2 Admin Foundation. Also already delivered is the Analytics Accelerator Administration as well. When we GA'd DB2 13 last May, we also had day one support from Admin Foundation for DB2 13. Okay, and this is a live document, and we keep continue to update this to reflect customers' feedback and adjusted prioritization based on customers' feedback. So we do take feedback seriously, and it really helps us to deliver a product that meets customers' requirements. Okay. I've gone through that fairly quickly, and here this chart I will let Soumya cover this architectural chart for our modernization products. Soumya?
Thank you, Jane. So yeah, Jane, I request you to keep the slide on, and after this, I will switch over to doing the demo.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, everyone. Sorry, I didn't turn on my video, but let me at least do that so that you can all see my face. And I'm going to turn it off because I'm sitting in a place where the bandwidth is not super great. But anyway, hey everyone, thanks for being here. I will turn off my video and continue. Okay, so Jane, took us through where we are headed, and some of the products involved in this mix. And what we are seeing here is the overall high-level architecture for the various moving parts in this whole transformation, right? And I did put a couple of things on the chat just as Jane was talking, to see if see if there is if I can get like a conversation going, if you have any thoughts. But anyway, when we started this out on the transformation journey about 2.5 years ago, we did decide based on a lot of customer feedback that we've gotten over years. Where most of our customers, especially the ones who did attempt to migrate to DSM, the common feedback was, well, DSM installs on a Linux, Unix, or Windows system. It also did support Z-Linux, but people still didn't feel or at least the ZOS folks didn't feel the closeness to where being able to manage and administer this data server manager that's running. And the preference was always to have something running on Z, so it's easier for them to work with. And after so many years of hearing the same thing, and Zoe was also catching up quite a bit at that time. So, we decided to, build on top of Zoe. So on the, there are 3 parts to this image. There's like the right side, which is the, bulk, and then the center portion, and the left, which is of the application development. So to start with the right, you can see Zoe in the bottommost layer. Zoe is the foundational piece. It is a hard prereq for unified management server. And I'll get to that in just a second. And many of you here may be familiar with Zoe. You would have heard Joe Winchester talk a lot about it, especially at GSE, other GSE conferences too. And Zoe provides its own API mediation layer, which basically API enables a lot of very useful ZOS functions that enable or feed into easier automation. On top of Zoe, we've built the Unified Management Server, which in essence is the UMS is the the brains behind the entire solution, if you want to think of it that way. And the reason why it is the brains is it is the UMS comes with everything that's necessary for admin foundation, DevOps experience, and everything. So it comes with its own API mediation layer, which is the core of all the UMS capabilities. And so everything that the UI does is enabled in the back in UMS through APIs. So there is absolutely nothing that the user can do on a user interface that is not doable through direct API invocation. And Jane talked about this briefly on the microservices architecture. And this is how we are doing it. And so all the way from running your SQL to running DB2 commands to browsing your catalog, getting the DDL for a given object, bind, rebind, free on your packages, everything can be triggered through APIs. And on top of this API media UMS, you see the unified experience for ZOS, which is essentially all the user interface activities, the screens, the user experience, right? That's built on top of that communicates with UMS backend. And the idea behind this is that we are walking towards this path of one UI truly to keep up our promise. And the Admin Foundation is the no charge offering, and it shows up by default when someone gets UMS, installs it. I think there's just like one job that you would have to submit, and then you'll have the UI show up with all of Admin Foundation capabilities. And in the future, if you buy, say, a DevOps experience license or yet another experiences license, which we are working on more such end-to-end solutions, which we call experiences. And so the more licenses you get, you would just go ahead and let UMS know that you now have this license. So it's like you turn on this key to this door, and you would not have to do anything extra. The same UI would now show additional bells and whistles that have to do with invoking certain workflows for that new experience. So that's where we are headed. And now switching to the middle here, the middle is, you see two boxes: SQL tuning services and analytics accelerator administration services. So once again, what we've done is the kind of work, business logic that we had embedded in Data Studio or in DSM to be able to run tuning capabilities like Visual Explain and Stats Advice, and even the chargeable query workload tuning capabilities that include index advice and access path comparisons and those kind of things. Everything is going into this IBM SQL tuning services. It ships as so the base or the no charge version ships with the DB2 accessory suite, and it is installed as a WebSphere application server application on USS on System Z. Very similar with the DB2 Analytics Accelerator services as well. It is also a WAS Liberty application that runs on Unix system services. And both of these services provide the API enablement layer for doing either SQL tuning or for IDA administration. And UMS, when the user invokes a certain tuning workflow on the UI, UMS behind the scenes communicates with either SQL tuning services or accelerator administration services. And once again, these APIs are built in such a way that everything in the UI has to be driven by something in the backend. There is not a lot of UI logic that says, if this do that. We've taken care of everything in the API layer so that the APIs are reliable, and they work the same way, whether it is coming through the user interface or through a pipeline integration. The third, the leftmost portion, is the developer extension for Visual Studio Code. And the developer extension, and just some brief on, and you might have already heard it. VS Code, when we did our market research, VS Code came out as the most preferred integrated development environment that's used by application developers worldwide. And I mean, of course, I think I can certainly understand why, and I'm sure you would too. It's just so lightweight, and it has very simple plugin model, and how it doesn't matter how many ever plugins you install, it functions very well. It's very performant. It doesn't come crashing on you. So it is, so we chose to build our extension to communicate with DB2 more targeted towards application development activities on VS Code, and it does deploy. So VS Code itself can be deployed as a full client install, or you can have like a client and a server sitting on a VM. That's just what VS Code gives, but also the integration with VS Code, which is built, which is very similar to the architecture of the newer Eclipses like the Eclipse Theia and Eclipse Che, enable us to integrate into Eclipse Theia with minimal changes. And Eclipse Che, the testing is still in progress, but Eclipse Che is typically is very similar to VS Code functioning in a remote development environment where there is a server sitting in like a common VM or on the cloud or on a Docker container, and then the various clients are communicating with that server. So it's set up that way, and also with Red Hat Code Ready workspaces. And as you can see, the developer extension, and we'll talk about this, a little bit more in detail towards the latter half. We've already built a lot of capabilities, and even for SQL tuning, some of the more frequent or tuning services that will aid application developers in building better applications to start with, even before it goes into pipelines and has to be reviewed by DBAs for performance. In order to streamline that process, we have integrated certain tuning services with the developer extension, so that developers can now write their SQL queries and they can run through a round of tuning to see if there are any recommendations, anything that they can work with ahead of their regular other process of either a pull request or commit, or however it works with each enterprise, right? So that is this is kind of all the bits and pieces that we have here, but at a very high level. So at this time, Jane, I am going to share my screen.
Okay. Can you? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let me put that aside. I'll bring up. Okay. I hope the font is okay. I did make it a little bigger. So here we have, this is for those of you who haven't, seen Zoe. I'm sure most of you have, but this is the Zoe desktop. So you log into Zoe using your, mainframe credentials where Zoe is installed, and it would come up with, Zoe would come up, and Zoe has like a very, Windows desktop feel, hence called the Zoe desktop. So there are various plugins, and it is a very, it's a thriving ecosystem. We have Zoe itself is a joint development partnership between IBM, Rocket Software, and Broadcom. So there is a lot of activity going on with Zoe, and even also, other vendors building plugins for Zoe. So here, this is the IBM Unified Experience for ZOS is what we saw on the top of the right stack in the, in the architecture. And I have this open here. So let's start with this. The first thing that, it's always nice to go into, because this is one of the things that admins use on a daily basis, is the ability to look at the catalog and the various objects, its properties, and other things. So from here, you can actually let me just take a quick step back. And let's start out with the subsystems. So Jane did mention this briefly about the discovery, and when UMS comes up, it's installed and it comes up, what it does is it basically goes off and tries to discover all of your DB2s. And actually with IMS support as well, I don't have a demo of IMS support, but even with IMS having being integrated into the platform, into UMS, it goes off and searches for all your DB2 and IMS systems or plexes, and it will put it here into the discovered list, right? I don't have anything in the discovered because I've registered both my subsystems, but it'll put it here for the UMS administrator to come in, take a look at them and say, okay, here are 3 DB2s that I want to register and 2 IMSs, and the rest I'm not going to register because it might be a production system. It might be a pre-prod that not everybody has access to. So it will list, and the user can choose to register it. Once registered, you will see them as tiles here, right? And if something was not discovered or something is, for whatever reason, the user still has such the ability to go in there and add it. From here, you can see some of the high level parameters. What function level am I on? Location, host port, all the JDBC parameters, whether it's data sharing, the object discovery, and this is a good one, is when we do register a subsystem, what happens internally is UMS goes.
Sorry, excuse me, Soumya. Well, what I'm seeing on the screen is the tuning services API. Is that what you're trying to?
No, hold on. Let me stop share. Thanks, Jane. Thanks for calling that out. That is, okay, let me stop sharing and share again. Can you see the subsystem screen?
Yes,
now?
yes.
Oh, okay. I am so sorry. Let me just show the discovered. At least you can map it up with that. So this is the manage subsystems page that I was talking about, where all the discovered DB2s and IMSs show up. And once registered, these are the various tiles of the registered subsystems. And you can see the parameters. And the object discovery was what I was starting to talk about is, so we basically, once registered, we go off and start learning about the catalog. And internally, we do have like a graph database where we do a lot of those mappings and say who's related to who, how all of those relationships are kind of built when we do the object discovery and learn about the system catalog. And by default, the catalog, or basically the discovery, runs every 4 hours. But if there is a new, say the user creates a new stored procedure or something like that and wants to take, look at it to make sure everything looks fine, you can come here and refresh the object discovery, which would basically trigger that, okay, go learn about the subsystem and build a model and put, refresh the model that we have in the graph database now. So this is this is how the catalog, we do the learn about the catalog, so that every single time we can avoid going and hitting DB2 itself to get every single bit of information. That also keeps, and by doing this, it also keeps it performant. So in the this is the explore objects, where users would come in to search, look for objects. And there are a few filters that you can use. You can say look for all the objects on one of these subsystems that are registered, or look for objects that are of a certain type. And of course, you can combine one or more filters, and you say look for employee table in the schema. And yeah, you can do those kinds of filters. But from here, let me just start with doing just table. So you get a list of all the tables, and it gives you some high information on the schema, with subsystem, database, type table, and or table or view, or those list here. And so here you can see. So I think it's global. I forgot what P stood for, but table, and yeah, so auxiliary, I think X is auxiliary. So anyway, you get a list of all the tables and related objects. Which table space do they belong to? And there are some additional columns here that the user can work with. The last one is basically the relationships, right? So let's start out. I'm just going to click on this one table. And here, this is the table dashboard. You can see some high level information about the table. And the structure will give you details about the columns and indexes related to the table. DDL, it usually brings up the DDL, but like I think I mentioned this yesterday, the system did go through some maintenance, And some of the backend setup is still pending with respect to fixing the WLM and stored procedures and those kind of things. So yes, that's the reason why you didn't see the DDL come up. But the DDL shows up. You can even copy it and put it into the editor to run it with modifications if needed. The object hierarchy shows where in the hierarchy of the subsystem does this object picture, and what are these, how is this object related to its dependencies, all of that, right? And everything here is linked in the sense I can click from here to land on the dashboard for that table space. The referential integrity gives a list of all relationships, key relationships. So you can see, either all, or in this case, I think we had, there were no children. There are just parents and siblings. So parent is, of course, parent, this table is a child of, this key is a child of it's inherited. The siblings they're all at the same level, and children is if this one is being referenced, if anything from this table is being referenced by another table, it would show up here as well. So these are the kind of relationships that are built in the graph database to be able to present it to the end user. The status will indicate if there are any claims and logs being held on this object. And for the data, this table doesn't have data, but if there is data, it will be listed here in grid format. I will go back to this screen because the other object that I want to bring up and talk about is packages. And I think this has been of high interest. We've had a lot of questions about packages in the past and how to make it easy to work with them. So here, once again, high level information on the dashboard is just that packages have a lot of key information that people are interested in. So the tiles have a lot more information. The structure is going to give you information about the various versions of the package and the table dependence. I mean, the object dependencies. The relationship, similar structure from in the hierarchy of the subsystem. How is this object? Now, this is the part I mentioned where you can do your bind, rebind, free, those kind of activities through the user interface. We generate those commands for you, so you can choose between what you want to do. And when I make a change here and say, okay, do and explain, I can turn on the diff view to understand what the change is, and I can apply the changes and execute the bind or rebind or free and or everything from here. I will cancel out of here for now. And also there is this drop down on top if you want to see a different version of the package that exists. And here you have all of the SQL statements that are listed that are part of this package. And you can, as part of the option, sorry, let me pick a better one. As part of the next steps to this, you can look at the statement and you can either say show full SQL query, or you can also launch into the SQL tuning workflow. I'm not going to do that there, but let's come back to that. So I'm going to go back to explore objects. Let's leave it there. And I'm going to say, let's start with a really simple statement, right? So here I have the option to run it or tune it. I think the run does standard stuff. It's going to execute the statement and it's going to provide the result details or error details in a section below. Clicking on tune will take me through this workflow where I first select a tuning profile. And like I mentioned, so all of the tuning activities are redirected by UMS to the tuning server. And the tuning server provides all the APIs necessary to run through the tuning. So the stats advise and visual explain are checked here by default. because they are the basic or the no charge SQL tuning services. And these are the extended set, which is licensed. And the licensed services integration is coming up in the version next of UMS that's scheduled for end of this month. So let's just do this. And SQL ID is where your plant tables are created. So I'm going to put that and this because I said SysID. And as a goal to make it easy and user-friendly for both novice as well as experienced users, most of the wherever parameters are required, most of them that you see will be viable defaults, so that a novice user who doesn't know what each of these parameters might mean does not have to go in and change anything to get this workflow going. But someone who wants to do something with it, they know exactly how they want to run it, still has that opportunity to customize it. When I hit next, what is essentially happening is UMS is making a call. UI called UMS. UMS is making a call to tuning services to trigger the execution of Visual Explain and Stats Advice for that query. And once it's ready, we can stay on this page, or if it's a long running query, not like SysIBM, select star from SysIBM systables for, my environment, which doesn't have a lot of data. It's, you can just move out of this page. The job will continue to run because everything is in the background, and you can come back to the job results at any point in time. So I'm clicking on the icon, and you'll see the Visual Explain displayed here because that's what I clicked on. And this floating menu here lets me switch back and forth between the Stats Advice output and the Visual Explain output for this query, because they were both submitted. They're treated as related jobs because they were submitted for the same query at the same time. And if there are more, you will see a lot more. And say, for instance, I click on capture query environment now. While doing a debugging, I'm checking the access path, then I'm seeing, okay, why is this taking this access path? Then I check for stats recommendations or index recommendations or anything, right? Everything will be listed as related jobs. And we do that, and then we say, well, I think I'm seeing a problem, but I also want to capture the query environment so that I can get more information about the environment the query is executing, and yeah, proceed with. And so you can see, and this one is a zip file, so you'll see a download here. But if I'm not on that page when it finished execution, you can always come back to it by launching the view jobs tuning. And these are the last two that we just ran. So the job results are right here. The capture any query environment jobs are also right here. So everything is maintained for some amount of time for the users to make it easy for them to come back to it anytime needed. So that is for that. And I see I just did a time check on myself. So this one is the Explore SQL, is the means to capture SQL from different sources like the statement cache, your plan package, stabilized SQL, and input file. And this allows the user to capture, look for, search for SQL statements in the statement cache, in using a filter like which is running least efficient statements, and based on CPU time or elapsed time or whatever it is. And when the user hits capture, it's going to bring up a list of all the statements that are in the statement cache at that point in time, right? So we go tuning services actually goes and gets it as of that time. And you see the statements here. One of the capabilities I like to highlight is for those using the dynamic plan stability features introduced in version 12. Data Studio or DSM never had an easy way for you to stabilize and free. And this is the first interface where we've introduced that ability to stabilize and free from the UI itself. So this is just a nice feature. So once this is done, you can see, you can view the SQL query, you can launch into the tuning workflow, stabilize free or capture query environment from just from here. And so that's that. The last thing, because I do want to cover developer extension, I'm just going to do a real quick overview of the DB2 Analytics Accelerator administration as well. As of the release that we will go out in February, end of February, we will have all of the major accelerator administration capabilities covered in Admin Foundation. So this is the similar structure, the dashboard for the accelerator in the context of the subsystem. You can view and manage all the tables on the accelerator here, all the queries as well, and the monitoring, accelerator monitoring information is also presented in the last tab. So for those who use IDAA, for those who are familiar with Data Studio or DSM, the information presented here is similar, but as we add more stuff to the engine, you will see that reflected on Admin Foundation. Okay, so let me switch back. So this is, we talked about API enablement. This is what we call a Swagger doc. We don't build it, but when the application comes up, it automatically comes up with it. So this is kind of a neat place to see all the APIs documented. And so these are all the APIs that are available to the user. So you can see you can pretty much drive any of these advisors using APIs as well as the UI, and the similar one for IDAA as well. Sorry, that was quick, but let me take you through the next one, which is, I'm sorry, the slide should have been here. Okay, for developer extension. So for developer extension, we started this out, the first version of dev extension, version 0.1 went GA in 2020 July. So it's been a while that we've been working on this. And since then, the team has constantly improved the capabilities that we make available to the end user. So we started out with basic stuff like syntax highlighting and code snippets. Then we went on to do more syntax checking, code completions, ability to connect to DB2, stored procedure debugging. And this is one of the big requests, and also one of the big glues that a lot of customers had to not being able to let Data Studio go. So we do have this capability supported in the Visual Studio Code extension that we put out. And then we did like more, SQL formatting, execution of SQL embedded in your code, like a, Java code or something else in stored procedures, and few usability enhancements. And we did also the no charge tuning services integration. So users can run Visual Explain, Stats Advice, query environment capture, all this from dev extension as well. And day one support for version 13. I'm sorry, it says in progress, so I should have probably updated this slide. It was done and delivered a while ago. And the team is now working on catalog navigation, which you will see trickling in phases. We will have same February timeframe, end of February, we will have a release for developer extension as well, which will expose part of the catalog navigation with more to come. So the focus has been on single query tuning advisors, licensed ones as well, and catalog navigation, and a lot more in the roadmap that we are still working on, but a lot more to come in this space for the extension. We did start out targeting the application developer persona, but for a lot of customers that we work with, it's not just the app devs that use it, it's also the DBAs who jump on it and, want to run queries and, check on it. So, once we have the basic use cases done, our next goal will be to make sure that, it's usable to a point that it doesn't matter if it's a DBA or an application developer, but it's usable for development activities. So these are some of the highlights, and I think I covered some of it already. So let me just show you Visual Studio Code. This, of course, VS Code comes with a lot. So I have a work, what is it, a workspace with some of my code, and you can see it's some Java, Python, some SQL, some stored procedure SQL. And the way this is my extension, the extension lets you connect to DB2 using standard JDBC. Ignore these because I have a ton of other things installed as well. So yeah, it's JDBC. You can connect to your SQL tuning server, which is running on Unix system services. And what this does is, let me just connect to it. Okay, so these are, let's just pick these two systems, right? So just to show something really neat about, to pull this down, okay, neat about syntax checking and all that. So see, this is a file that has a lot of new keywords used in introduced in version 13. So what happens is, since I'm connected to a version 12, the system is a version 12. I'm highlighting it at the bottom. It shows up as unsupported syntax, right? The moment I change it to a version 13, it should change as a supported syntax. And I am sorry, I don't know what happened to the connectivity. But anyway, so this is I probably shouldn't have picked that specific one, but anyway, it did. This is how some of those things. And when I start, for instance, typing create, it gives me recommendations for code snippets here, where I can, a person who is new and doesn't know how to write a create table statement, we are able to get them started with some, template. And then we also link them to the IBM documentation, where they can go look up for more, complex syntax and other things too. So, so this is for what we support here. And for the tuning, this is going back to the extension. I did run some, some of those tuning, which is in the history here. So for every tuning job that I ran, you can click on, you can see all of the advices that I had, I initiated. And in this case, it's going to say, let's pick SQL annotator. I don't know if it'll come up because it's probable that system is, yeah, okay. Let me pick another one. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, let's pick this one, right? So here, I clicked on this. There is no stats advisor output, but I can come back to it anytime and see it here, because we do maintain a tuning history as well as a query history. This is for Visual Explain. It is because jobs that I ran a while ago, it's taking a few seconds to refresh, but here, Visual Explain will display for that query that I ran maybe like a few days ago. So yeah, so these are some of the bells and whistles. I don't think in the time I can do justice to covering everything that the extension does, but it's pretty fantastic considering the integration with a lot of other plugins, including Zoe plugin in this VS Code ecosystem. So maybe if any of you are interested in that, ping me offline and we can talk about it. So I'm going to go back to the slides, and Jane, do you want to close out with the?
Sure. There was a question asking, can we assume that those DDL templates can be customized at site level?
We are bringing those capabilities in. There are some customizations that you can do with respect to color coding different things, and yeah, a few of those, but the site rules integration with business rules are coming up. It's there. We are working through the part of the roadmap that we are working through on is figuring out when we will bring that in, but definitely, yes, I think that's the one other thing that will help is this is an open GitHub. As Jane is talking, or maybe later I'll try and get the GitHub link and put it on the chat too. So if you can find all of those issues are tracked on a GitHub. So if there is a requirement, please open up a GitHub issue for us, and we'll be able to prioritize it with that.
Yeah, in this, actually on this page, you probably have access to this presentation. So the second row where it says DB240 is developer extension, that one over on the right, there's link column, and that for developer extension, that goes to the VS Code Marketplace. And from that landing page, you should be able to also get to the GitHub. Yeah, so this page gives you ordering information, product name, product ID, where you can order it, whether it's ShopZ or VS Code Marketplace or Fix Central. So the links give you some additional information, and it also has some brief listing of the prerequisites needed for each of these products. So hopefully that will be helpful as you get to the the stage when you want to order these. Next page, I think, is the more links. Most of these are documentation, and the Zoe installation videos would be helpful as you start your Zoe installation. So I think that's all we have. The next, I think, is the survey. Yeah.
So yeah, so I think we are like right there, 20 seconds to go. But thank you all very much. Jane and myself will appreciate your feedback, not only for the session, but also in terms of what we talked about today. So our email addresses are there in the first screen of the presentation, first page of the presentation. So please reach out. As we know, and let us know what you think.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing your 1 hour with us. Hopefully the presentation was helpful and giving you some additional information on our product and offerings. And let us know if you have questions through our emails.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys. That was very interesting. I'm sure the others would agree. And guys, can I just remind you all to do your session feedback? The link was in that presentation, but also if you go back to bring your own agenda where you got the link to come into this session, the line underneath it is the link to the feedback. And if you could please leave feedback, we find it very useful for planning these sessions and for the presenters as well. So all feedback gratefully received. And thank you all very much for coming. We wrap it up there and let you get on to your next session.
Thank you.
Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you.